Oh.
Maybe nobody knows how to log on.
It didn't send us to Facebook, which is kind of make me a bit nervous. So, everybody, welcome to Soul Chats with Psychic Medium Dani Jo. I am here tonight with my friend and everybody. Welcome to Soul Chats with Psychic Medium Dani. What is happening right now?
I don't know. All right, better.
Do you have, can you hear me, Sarah?
I can, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. All right, you guys. So technical difficulties. It wouldn't be a night with Soul Chats if we didn't have technical difficulties. So thanks for joining us for podcast number 4. Tonight we have our guest, Sarah Fude-Huisman, and we are so excited to be here with her tonight. I have known Sarah for a couple of years, and I know some of you watching also will know Sarah. And we're going to let Sarah just tell us some basic details about herself before she gets into her spiritual journey. But Sarah, tell us where you live, what you do.
Wow. So I live in Northwest Iowa, Sheldon, big old town. I don't even know the population. I'm sure somebody will say something. My full-time job, I'm a psychotherapist. So I treat both co-occurring for mental health and substance use disorder. I'm a mom of 2 boys. I have a 23-year-old and a soon-to-be 17-year-old, and I'm a wife. Nice. I'm a sister. I'm an auntie. I'm a soon-to-be great auntie. I'm a cousin. I'm many things.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So for those of you watching, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties here. So be patient with me while I just pull up our Facebook on another screen so that I can see comments, because it's not giving those to me, here. So, all right, we have a few people saying hello to you, Sarah. I know you probably won't be able to see that. We have a Michelle and a Danielle and Les and Lou. So thanks for joining us. I know there's a few of you. If you have questions for Sarah as we go, feel free to type them, and I'll try to pay attention to the comments tonight. But really, I just want to share a couple of things about Sarah before we get into her spiritual journey. When I met Sarah, she had some interest and background in spirituality, and I feel like it took her a while to really kind of open that door for herself fully, but I really am glad that she did, because there has been so many amazing things happening for her. And this is typical for many people that go through a spiritual awakening in their life, or realizing that there's something more. And Sarah is really following that passion per se. And I'm just glad to see you really following where your gut is taking you. But let's talk about how we met, your side of it, like what brought you to me, or what our first meeting was like.
So it was actually, I think it's been 3 years ago now, because it was pre-COVID. It was BC, before COVID. So
I love that, BC.
BC. So we actually, I had dinner with a few gals, and someone had just shared your information with me, and I thought about it for quite some time, and then I finally just, something tugged at me, and I booked a session with you. I booked an hour session with you, and I did it secretly because I didn't want anybody to think anything negative of me because of the community that I live in. Yeah. I definitely didn't want anything thrown at me. So I went out to a park in my community, away from everybody. And I had a 1-hour session with you that was very eye-opening. Things that you knew about that nobody else would have ever known about. Yeah, Just it was really good and healing for me. And then I decided to, I believe, book another session with you about a month later. I think I did that for a few months, and then I decided to do your subscription. Yeah.
Kind of a better option, right? To do
I
that.
found that to be a better option for me. So I did that.
Yeah.
And then I've been doing that ever since. And then it's turned into mentoring from you. So it's been good.
Well, it's funny for me because I don't even remember that first reading. Like that was so long ago, first of all. And you know, my chalkboard gets wiped clean. I do remember though, a lot of the hesitancy from you about like wanting others to know and feeling really private about it. I have to share though, before we go any further, the first time I actually met you in person. And so those of you watching that know Sarah and I both, you've heard me tell this story a million times. But Sarah drove all the way up to Spearfish from Iowa with her friend Amy. And they came up to our tiny little crystal shop to get away for the weekend. And we were so excited to meet them, but they were just like Thelma and Louise, Laurel and Hardy. I don't know how to describe it. The humor between you two was so funny. And it was the first time I had actually ever seen an adult person have a temper tantrum. Was the best thing ever. And so now whenever I'm with Sarah, I always ask her to replay that for whoever's in the room. But she does wiggle out of a chair like a 2-year-old. And if you've never seen that, you'll have to try to get a time with Sarah when you can definitely have your own temper tantrum, because it's worth it for sure. I remember that though. I remember that meeting with you guys and how funny that was. And I think that was shortly, like in the spring, maybe, because
yeah,
I think we had just gotten your Christmas card of your cats. But
I think that was
a couple months after.
Actually, it was right when COVID was starting.
Okay.
And I remember saying to Amy that this was a horrible time to travel. And she said, nobody's going to be out, Sarah. So this is a great time to travel.
Let's go.
So we did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was just a really good time. And it was right after Amy lost her stepfather, actually. So both of our dads were with us on that trip, which was just a really special time for the both of us.
Yeah. What a cool way to connect, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we have a couple of comments from some friends, but also I cannot go back to these comments. This is going to be a challenging night. Somebody, I can't remember who it was, said that they got kicked off when we tried to get our thing going and their lights flickered. So obviously Spirit's given us some signs. If you can see your comments, you can certainly share with me those. I am definitely having trouble getting back to the comments. I feel like being a psychic medium and trying to run anything electronic is a challenge. Like, what? For those watching and have watched the past podcasts, they've all turned out this way. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody question? You wanted to answer there?
I don't see any questions, just a lot of hellos. So hello to everybody else back.
Yes. And thanks for joining us tonight. So just kind of a reminder too, this podcast will end up on the YouTube channel, so you can rewatch it if you want to share it with anybody. So let's kind of fast forward then. So you had that reading with me and started kind of discovering that you had more interest probably than you thought in the spiritual realm. I know in your bio that was in the podcast intro, it talked about having played with tarot cards previously and having some interest in that. But what really kind of cracked that door open for you? What made you feel like, I just know there's something more and I want to discover what it is?
Gosh. So I'm a gal of validation. I just am. And I think it was in one of our readings, we had discussed it, and we talked a lot about spirit guides, and that I think was True for me that after you had identified some spirit guides for me, and I started to really work with them and meditate with them. And that's been huge for me because in the last 3 years, I'm no longer afraid of the dark. And people are really shocked when they hear that about me, is that that has been a big fear of mine as a child and as an adult. Just being really, really scared of the dark or closing my eyes at any times was such a fear. So I think that that really moved me forward in my spirituality. But working with my spirit guides and then just started identifying people's spirit guides for them. I think when I booked a reading for my sister, I was working with you and I said, Dani, I think I identified my sister's spirit guide. And I started explaining him to you, and you said, oh my gosh, shut up. And you showed me a picture. I think I was explaining the horse to you. And you picked up this magazine and you showed me this horse. And I said, oh my gosh, that's the horse. So that's, I think, when I really started to feel like I had a connection with just, yeah, that would probably be my specialty. And then just moving forward with that. And then I started to work more with those who have passed over. I've always felt that calling though, but I never felt like I had the ability or the confidence in doing that. So I think working with somebody to foster that has really helped, whereas I never had that before. So I think if you're stuck like in a mindset or a community where you've been told that that's wrong, you're never going to, move out of that. And I think that that's what's really helped. So anybody can do it. We just have to have that person to encourage us to do it. So for years, I just kept it suppressed.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you fought through those fears, because I know that many people get to that place where they just can't move past it. And it's really a challenge for them that the fear is greater than the want to do the healing work. Truly, we work with spirit, and you've done a great job of embracing that. I mean, gosh, I've been working in this field for 8 or 9 years, and I still have doubt, right? We always doubt ourselves because you want to make sure that you're making an impact on your client or doing the right thing to help them. And I think that just shows the, true heart, of a healer, is that's why we're doing this work, is because we do care. Now it's the ones out there just saying all kinds of crazy things that I worry about, but
right.
They're out there.
Yep.
Yes. And not to say that mediums don't make mistakes. I mean, mediums do make mistakes because interpretation is not a science. It's, it's interpretation, but we can't grow stronger in our craft and ability if we don't practice it. We do have a question. Do guides or those who have crossed over come to you, or do you seek them out, so to speak? And this is from Angie P. So I'll share my interpretation, and of course, Sarah can share hers too. So everybody has a team of spirit guides that we work with, and to learn who they are, they're already there. So to learn who they are, we have to be able to tap into that. So like Sarah said, one of her abilities or strengths is to connect with people's spirit guides. And so you can seek them out, but they're already there. So like they are your team of spiritual guides that you just don't know. What do you want to share about that?
Well, I think that's just it though, is that they're already there and we have to know how they speak to us and how their messages come forward. So one of my favorite stories that I like to tell is that there is a phenomenal spirit guide artist from the UK, and she does these spirit guide drawings. And I actually had one done he's actually hanging up in my she shed that I'm in, that I have had done just for my spiritual business now. And a reading comes with, and the reading was wonderful. And in that reading, he identified that I have mediumship and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, there's no way, like, it's beautiful. And so I remember coming to you because in the reading, they said, you already know his name. And I'm like, I don't know his name. I don't. So I remember when I came to you and I was like, Dani, I don't know his name. Like, I have no idea. But then when you helped me and we found out that his name was White Bear, I was talking to my sister about it, who's older than me. And she says, oh my gosh, when you were younger, you loved the teddy bear Snuggles. That was from the laundry detergent commercial. And I would just scream out White Bear every time he came on the commercial.
Oh my
So
God.
come to find out, White Bear has been my main guide before I came here. We've known each other just forever. And so that's who I've always been crying out is White Bear. So those signs are there. They're always there. It's how do we connect and how do we get opened up to that? But I think it helps when you have somebody identify them. What's that?
I don't think I've heard that story before.
Oh yeah. So I even have
love
I have a Snuggles Christmas ornament still today.
Oh my gosh.
Because I love Snuggles. Yeah, and I would scream out White Bear. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he's always been there until it just made sense to come to find out that that was his name. So yeah, it just gave me chicken skin.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Right. Love it. I love it. So a couple more questions before they disappear. Tom asks, do you believe when a spirit takes you over, do you believe it's something we let in? So I'm guessing that Tom's kind of talking more about like having spirit kind of speak through us, or maybe in the terms of like having an attachment. Do you want to speak on that, or?
Well, so as far as like, gosh, as far as we let something in, I don't think it's ever intentional, but I do, I think that there's how we carry ourselves, like as far as vibration. So, the highest vibration is going to be about positivity, gratitude, and love. Those are our highest vibrations. So when we have these lower vibrations, whether it's self-doubt or criticisms or any of those kind of isms, unfortunately, we're going to have those cracks in our auras and things are going to get in. And of course, it's not intentional. And attachments are just going to come. It's kind of like walking through a field and you're going to pick up on cockaburs. And so those can be just much like attachments. And you don't go through a field purposely picking up on cockaburs. So just like we don't purposely go around picking up on attachments. So it's not something that we let in, but it is something that we need to cleanse ourselves. So I do think that it's important to cleanse ourselves, whether we're using smoke, sound, water, prayer, but it isn't something that's going to take us over. And there's a gentle way to identify what the attachment is and to help release it. Absolutely. So I hope that answers your question.
Definitely think that. Yeah, I think that's a great answer. I think also, there's great ways to protect ourselves too. And a lot of that is about vibration and having some spiritual knowledge, but that takes time and years to figure out. Mm-hmm. All right, we have another question. Danielle said that she agrees that she lives in a small town where people can be closed-minded. A lot are practicing behind closed doors. I feel like there is a lot of that going on. Now, the funny thing is, I live in Belle-Fourche. So when I came out of the closet, we're in a town of 5,500 people, right? And I was a daycare provider. So, oh my gosh, talk about being nervous. The funny thing is, I think that we need to be strong and help the world see that there's change and be the ones that can be unafraid to share that information, because if nobody does, nobody will. And ultimately, there are a lot of people who are more comfortable with it than we believe. So yeah, don't be afraid to take that step, because I feel like oftentimes spirit pulls away the people from you that aren't meant to be there and brings in then the ones that are.
I'm actually surprised. I would say just within these last couple of weeks, I've had more people reaching out to me for readings and for Reiki sessions that I would have never guessed, who are very interested in it, and who've also received just a lot of healing from it. So
that's amazing. So I guess speaking about that, let's chat about that. And we know that you work in your day job. You have a professional day job. And so your spiritual stuff is kind of like your evenings and weekends or your days off, I'm guessing.
Yep.
But tell us about your she shed.
So yeah, when I finally came out of the broom closet, if you will, to my family, it was very difficult because my family does have a different belief system than I do. They actually rallied around me and have been very supportive, and so they helped me put together a she shed that I now work out of. It's 10 by 16. In the front, I do my readings, and in the back, I have my Reiki sessions, and I have all my spiritual stuff that I get to work from. I have my books and my cards. I have my crystals. Anything that I need is all at my fingertips. And so, yeah, I do operate in the evenings or the days that I have off on the weekends. And it's just tucked back in the corner, and it's just been lovely. I love it. And then if I just want to get away from everybody, because I live with 3 boys. Yeah.
So it really is the she shed. This is the girl space, right?
She shed. Yeah. If you're a boy coming in here, you get a Reiki session and then you just get out.
I love it. I love
it. I just smoke the heck out of it. Ugh, get out.
I love it. Well, you know what I actually love about you having a she shed is it's a separate entity from your home, right? So you have the ability to control the energy of your she shed way better than we do like a business or a home where people are coming and going. So I think that's amazing. The energy of that is much more controllable than most people have in like an office environment. So
correct.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
So tell everybody what your services are. Tell them what you offer.
So it's called Healing Light Connections. And I'm a Reiki 2 healer. And so I do regular Reiki, which is fire usui. And then I also do the crystal Reiki. I also provide tarot and oracle readings. So I connect with your spirit guides, and then I also connect with people who cross over. Mostly the energy that's around you, things that are going through, whatever pops up. As Dani would say, I work on behalf of spirit, and so it may not be what you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear. So that's what I do. I also offer just a few, not a lot, but just a few supplies. I am moving into doing more like cord cutting spells. So that's something that I'm starting to offer. I love doing spell work, which would bring the witch out in me. But I love doing that kind of stuff. I love doing candle magic. So more things to come to add to the services.
So are all of your services in person, or can some of those things be done virtually?
So the things that can be done virtually would be like the readings, and the mediumship can be done virtually. I can do distant Reiki, but I find that Reiki in person is so much better. But I have done distant Reiki. I've not done one as a service. That's been more for like friends and family. But in-person Reiki, I find to be more beneficial for people. And I just love hearing the results from people when they get done with Reiki in person. Just the comments afterwards are really neat.
Yeah, I actually had some done today with Shell, and I had a headache before I went in, and it was gone when I went out. And she knew I had a headache. It was funny. She spent a lot of time at my head. Reiki is really, really healing. For those of you that are not familiar with that, it's working with the energy systems of the body and rebalancing and clearing. And so we have the 7 major chakras in the body, and that can tell us a lot about how you're feeling and where you're at. Corey asked a question and said, and Corey knows the answer to this, but do you always stay in high vibration?
Corey,
let me answer this. So Corey's also a healer. For those of you watching, Corey was my episode 3 podcast, I believe. And Corey knows the answer to this question, but it was a good question to ask. So no, we don't always stay in high vibration. We're human like everyone else, and we struggle with frustration and anger and grief and all the things that everyone else does. So and of course, we pick up a lot of other people's energy. So it lowers our vibration naturally. So no, we don't stay in high vibration all the time, but we know how to recognize when our vibration is low and try to combat that better probably than an average person because we can recognize it easier. I know that if I don't work on mine right away, that I will end up sick. And so I try to pay attention very carefully. But that's, a skill that you learn when you're more aware of energy, and healers are definitely, and you're welcome to answer that too if you want, but
no, you're absolutely correct. And I know that when my vibration is getting low, my telltale sign is my throat will start to go. So I'll get a sore throat, it'll get itchy and scratchy. And it's not just from singing too loud, but and I have lost my voice because I've gone full Monty when it comes to Janis Joplin, but I have lost my voice just because that's where my stress is at and my vibration's been too low. It's always my throat. My throat chakra always goes out.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, like vibration is like it's megahertz. And so what happens is if our vibration drops below, I think it's 57, but I always usually say around 60 megahertz, then disease sets in. So we have to keep that vibration higher than that to keep ourselves at a place of good health and feeling good. But meditation, essential oils, salt baths, there's lots of things to raise the vibration, even singing your happy music, that does wonders for it. Let's see. We have a couple more questions we'll try to get here. So Paul asked if the cracks in the aura of a person are where the guides are holding you together.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Could be.
I feel like this is a good question. And yes, I think Sarah's right. It could be. I don't know that we know the answer to that. I do believe that we often are out of alignment and have maybe cracks in our aura because of traumas and things that we've been through. I don't know that the answer to that is yes or no, though. And I'm sure Sarah probably feels maybe the same.
Yeah, I don't think our guides ever interfere, but I do think that they definitely assist. And I think that that's where the comfort that my guides bring for me. And everybody has a different way of how they see or feel them. And I personally just feel my guides. So I feel masculine on my left and I feel the feminine on my right. And it's a nice warm feeling and just a presence of knowing somebody's there. Would I necessarily say it's within my aura? Absolutely, because I can feel them within my energy field. And do I feel like a completion there with them? Yeah, I do. Yeah. Even in the dark. I can't say that enough. Yeah, that's huge for me.
I think that's been a thing too that's helped me in a lot of my struggles. I had a terrifying fear of flying, and I don't have that anymore. I can close my eyes and communicate with my guides, and there's like a support there, like nothing else that you can explain. And the fear for me is gone. Like I don't have any trepidation about getting on a plane and going overseas even. Like it's just gone.
Well, I think that prayer, like I'm still not a fan of flying, but that prayer, you should share that prayer that you have when we fly.
Which one?
What is Metatron?
Oh,
Metatron above.
where I place the angels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever I fly, whenever I drive any type of vehicle, I ask for Archangel, and I kind of am pointing at the directions of my vehicle, but I'll say Archangel Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel, protect the four corners of my car. I ask Metatron to ride above and Great Eagle to assist below. And then I feel very confident. Yes, always.
Yeah.
Very cool. Danielle Knight asked, have you found that people treat you differently now that they know that you work in this field?
That's actually a really good question. I've had a couple. I've had I've had some challenge me. And so the ones that try to challenge me will say things like, so what am I thinking? To which I say, this isn't a parlor trick, and that's not what this is about. So I shut that down real quick because I'm not interested in playing the mind trick game. I've had others who want to spend time with me just because they want me to provide that for them. And so you can weed those out real quick. And then I've had others who I've had in my life who still treat me like the person I am, and I really appreciate that. And then I still have had others who've challenged me because of their beliefs, and then there's some of the vulgar language that come with it, where I just embrace the word witch. I'm okay with that today. I don't consider that to be a vulgar word anymore. And I stand in my truth today with that. So I'm just not interested in a pissing match.
Yeah. No,
But the ones who love and accept me, they love and accept me. And those are the ones I keep by me.
Absolutely. And I love your explanation of witch, woman in total control of herself. I love that. Yeah. I also love too, though, that the people that do challenge us, I feel like honestly that they really have some belief and they really want to have some curiosity about it. But the only way they know how about going about it is to be, I'm going to say mean, but that's not the word that I want to use. And so I feel like confrontational, perfect. But what it does, though, is you shut the confrontation down, but then it still plants seeds for them. And they're wondering, is this real? How does this work? What happens there? And so then they actually have some curiosity of it because of you, even though you might not be the one to open that door for them. Because I definitely have had those people in my life too. And now they have, some openness or interest in it. But yeah, there's definitely challenging people out there. I love the ones that come in and they sit down across from me and they fold their arms. And I'm like, oh boy. And I'll usually say, I want you to know I'm not here to make you a believer. That's not my job.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I do have to share a really interesting story. And it's a couple of points I want to make is that one, I think it's really just about creating space and loving and accepting people where they are and who they are. So one example is that my 16-year-old is actually on a missions trip right now with his church. I love and accept him for who he is and vice versa. And two, just this last winter, he came home from youth group and he told me, Mom, I told my youth pastor what you do. And I said, oh, I'm sure that went well. And he said, I told him that what you do is to help people and it's to bring healing to them. And he told me, he put his hands on his hip and he said, and if you have a problem with that, I said, okay. So I just appreciate that, it's really just about creating space and knowing that this is about healing and helping others. This is not to create harm. And it's really just about your belief is this, and I love you for that. And my belief is this, and to love me for that.
Absolutely, which is the way the whole world should be, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I have one more question. There's more. You are getting lots of questions. So Michelle says, I'm writing my memoir, will publish soon. In my book, sharing about my experience with communicating with my late husband, I'm Catholic. I am a bit nervous about sharing the experience about mediumship, especially in small farm community in Iowa. Any advice on how to navigate that fear I feel? It makes me nervous to publish. Thanks. I'm gonna share just something real briefly, and then if Sarah wants to add to that, perfect. Obviously, I've written a book, and I'm currently writing another book right now. But what I feel like is when we share things that are hard to share, we open a door to, it's basically the phrase, the truth shall set you free. And so what happens is we open a door for others to feel able to share as well. And the more things we get out into the light, the less things that are holding us down. And so, you could definitely navigate that the way that feels best for you, Michelle. But I would tell you that by sharing that truth, you're probably going to find more support and actually help other people than if you were to hold it back and hold it in, because that is harmful, negative vibration, shame and guilt and fear. Obviously, once you put it out there, you will let go of those feelings most likely when you get good responses. But Sarah, do you want to add to that?
I'm going to echo that. I think that now that I have stepped out of the broom closet and stepped into my truth, that not only am I living my true authentic self, I feel that there's more support from people than ever before. I mean, I don't feel like I have to hide myself anymore. And it just kind of goes back to that. Those who are going to support and love us are going to support and love us. And those who aren't, they aren't. And then my question is, do I want those people in my life? And yeah, that it sucks. It sucks. But then, it kind of goes back to that stupid country song. You find out who your friends are. And then I guess I find out, I find out who's in my corner and who's not in my corner. But absolutely. I don't want to be here and not be myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think once we get that past that first step, then it gets easier. So when can we expect a book from you, Miss Sarah?
It's actually something I have been thinking about quite some time. I haven't decided what to call it yet. But it's been up here. I just haven't put it down. Yet. It'll be a few years yet. I have a lot of things in the works right now.
Yeah.
Things that I've been doing with my full-time job and other goals that I have. But, I probably should just start putting stuff down. And I guess if anything I can say to anybody, start journaling. I have a lot of journals that I probably should just start looking at. Journal is another way to get connected to spirit, is journal. So it
makes a big difference. It really does.
It'll be a few years, Miss Dani.
Yeah. I know it's coming.
It is.
Kathy S wants to know, what's one way to get out of your head when you're trying to figure out who your spirit guides are?
Wow. Well, it's stepping outside of your ego. That's a big thing. I think in this work or connecting with anybody, it's stepping outside of that ego, meaning, and I do that. I have the same problem, is that a lot of the times when I'm passing a message or I'm trying to connect to a spirit guide, I'm trying to make sense of the message, and it's not for me to make sense of that message. Like, for example, gosh, there was one time I was talking with somebody and I said something about a pearl, and I'm trying to make sense of this, thinking it was like a necklace, and come to find out she's like, no, that was a nickname. So I'm trying to make a connection, something that's logical, and it's not logical. And so when we connect to our spirit guides, and that's where I say, put a pen to the paper and just start writing stuff down, and then you'll go back and you'll find it. Just let the messages flow to the paper. That's it. Or just sit and look around. That was something that you taught me with the ringing in the ear. Look around to see what it is. Yeah. Ask, what is it that I'm supposed to be seeing? What is the message I'm supposed to be hearing? Look for the feeling in your body. A lot of it is just tuning in with our body. And a lot of us don't do that. And I'm guilty of it too. So,
oh yeah, we live in such a fast-paced, instant gratification world. We don't slow down to tap into things. But I think ultimately too, it's just going back to those two simple words: trust and believe.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We lose that from a young age to be able to believe in things that are magical and that don't make sense. And so our adult mind doesn't want to accept those things. So yes, we try to figure it out. We try to make sense of it instead of just trusting what we get. But that takes time. And honestly, the more commitment and time you give to it, the quicker it will grow. So that's a huge thing too. I think Tawny may have been asking you if you can communicate with animals, or maybe she was just stating that you can.
She was stating that I could because when I met her for the first time at our second Reiki training, I met Sky and her puppy, and Sky had a lot to say. I connected with Sky right away, and I said, "Oh, mommy, does she have some things to say?" So at the retreat, Sky and I were doing some FaceTime. So yeah, Sky has a lot to say to mommy.
Very
Yeah.
cool. I love it. Oh, you're welcome, Michelle. You're welcome for the question answered. We got one more question here, and then I'll try to get down to the bottom of the comments here. So can headaches be a sign that your third eye is blocked? What would be some good ways to work with that to clear that blockage?
Wow, that's, headaches could be a big possibility. Actually, when you ask that question, I'm actually thinking the crown chakra, not the third eye, for some reason. And ways to unblock that. I'm a huge peppermint oil girl, but also go right into
We're losing your audio. Sarah?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can now. Everything went.
I'll start talking in interpretive dance.
We pretty much got crown chakra and peppermint oil.
And meditation. I was to say, just go right into meditation with that. For sure. Yes. And I would say a good crown meditation for that.
Yes. Yes.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So just for those that are unfamiliar, the chakras of the body are connected to the physical parts of the body. So headache, yes, could be third eye, could be crown chakra. And yes, you're going to have physical effects there. Problem with vision, headaches, feeling a little bit like you're being pushed down. And of course, different areas are going to have different effects. But yeah, you could see a Reiki practitioner, or you could work on it yourself. Those are definitely things to be aware of. Corey said you were talking in tongues.
I do that.
I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we have a question from your bestie over here. One of your besties. Who is your biggest inspiration?
You are, Leslie.
She's over there gloating this up.
She is. Gosh, who is my biggest inspiration? I have to say my grandma on my dad's side comes to mind. I feel her a lot, and there's, looking back on the life that she's led, the hard work she's done, the hard work she put into it, raising the children, putting up with my grandfather, my father, putting up with my father and all those kids. She was a well-rounded woman. And yeah, I would say that she's probably someone that I inspire to be as hardworking as what she was.
That's amazing. And I'm sure that you still feel her connection because, whatever healing she was not able to do in her lifetime will somewhat be probably completed by you doing your healing work in this lifetime, because that ancestral connection. But I just wanted to ask you a couple more questions too. What is your favorite thing? So I know for spiritual healers, it's really important that we stay connected. And if we go days without that, maybe you're on vacation, maybe you're on a trip with friends, it's hard to find that time for yourself and stay connected. But what do you find works the best for you, or what do you enjoy best for making connection?
So I really never go anywhere without my cards. Even if it's just a minute that I can have to myself, that I could pull a card here or there. That really helps. And then I always carry my pendulum with me. So even just the 5 or 10 minutes of having that connection with spirit, just asking those couple of questions a day, and then spending that extra time in the shower by myself, having that communication with spirit. Um, that's probably what I do. The other big thing is making sure in the morning that I ask spirit to be with me, and then feeling my spirit guides with me. So the big thing is just being conscious, mindful, and setting that intention every day. Oh my gosh, and carrying my crystals.
Perfect. I love that.
Always carrying my crystals. Right here. Right here. I never go anywhere without them.
I think one of us needs to invent the bra that holds the crystals, right?
Got it. That's mine. Corey, that's mine. Okay, we'll do it together. The next retreat, you and me. You do the sewing. Gosh. I'll tell you what to do.
I love you guys. I love being here with you tonight. I have seen so many different sides of you, Sarah. And I truly appreciate you as a healer and friend. And I hope that everyone will follow your page. Check out do you have a website yet?
I don't. I just have my Facebook page on Healing Light Connections. That's it.
Follow Sarah's Facebook page and see what she's doing. Truly gifted, and can't wait to see really what else you do, because I know this is just the beginning of the iceberg for you. I want to ask you, though, a lot of times we have people asking questions and nobody's asked tonight, but what do you do, or what is your favorite thing to stay protected? Because as empaths, we have a hard time not picking up everyone else's stuff, and we go in locations. And honestly, in the mental health field, you work with a lot of people who struggle vibrationally. So how do you keep yourself protected?
Yeah. So first of all, I do have crystals that I carry for protection. And then I also have a necklace. My one necklace I always wear is my third eye. I love third eye. My evil eye. I have a tattoo of a third eye. You probably can't see it. I also have a tattoo that represents my spirit guide, my main, he would be considered my advisor. So it's not White Bear, but it's another one. My crystals consist of, I have my golden healer. I have my necklace third eye. I have Saint Michael, and then Benedict. And then for crystals, I have, hold on. I have a whole mess of them. I have Tiger's Eye. I have I have Tiger's Eye. I have Onyx. I have Labradorite. So anyway, I just carry all kinds of crystals. And then I also smudge myself at the end of the day with Palo Santo. I have a liquid one at work that I spray myself down with. So it's whatever works for you. And then sometimes I like to go outside and just stand outside and get some of that nature on me. I also like to go barefoot outside. Love to go barefoot outside and ground myself as well. And that's a big one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think as an earth sign, that's my favorite thing. Yeah. Outside barefoot.
Yeah. Since I'm a fire sign,
protection is
with smoke and fire. Yes.
Smoke and fire. I love it. Anybody else have a question for Sarah tonight? Paul asked what crystals, but we kind of went over that. Oh, a liquid form of Palo Santo. So yeah, Palo Santo comes in an essential oil. Just like any other plant or herb or tree, they can squeeze and press that oil out of it. So yeah, they have sage in a essential oil as well. One with nature. Yes, absolutely. Well, anything else you want to share with anybody about your spiritual path or what to expect from you in the future?
I guess just stay tuned. The best is yet to come, and step out of the broom closet. It's better. It's better. It is way better. Yeah. Don't let fear hold you back.
I love that. I love that. So if there's any way that I can help you get in touch with Sarah, let me know. Healing Light Connections on Facebook, go follow her page. And Sarah's also a member of our sanctuary group. So a lot of you know Sarah firsthand. But we have definitely had a great couple of years, and I'm super, super thankful to have you as my friend. So thank you so much for letting me have you on the podcast tonight.
Thank you for having me, Dani. I just love you. You're the best.
I love you too. Even though I made you cry, I probably should tell that story.
The best anxiety attack ever. Gosh, I was going to leave. As a therapist, I'm not very good at getting in touch with my feelings. I mean, God.
Well, for those of you that don't know this story, Sarah came to her first retreat with me. It wasn't my first retreat, but it was the first time she came to a Sisterhood retreat. And I pushed her buttons a little bit because I felt like Spirit was making that happen. And it pushed her buttons definitely. And I know it was a really hard weekend for her, but it was what Spirit wanted. To kind of crack that door open for her. And thankfully, she didn't leave. And she's been to another retreat, so I didn't damage her too much.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. But I think sometimes as a healer and a spiritual... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, sometimes as a spiritual healer, we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable, and we try to make sure everybody thinks we're okay. Like, I'm okay. I'm good. Yes, I'm fine. And the only way for us to stop doing that is to be vulnerable. But it's hard. I 100% have been there myself, more than once.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, it was wonderful. I definitely needed that. And yeah, we all need to heal, and we all have trauma. The body keeps score. And the only way we can get it out is to purge, and to do it around people that love you. That was the best thing for me. And it's not the first retreat or the last retreat I'll ever cry at. I mean, I seem to cry at all of the retreats, just not as dramatic. That would just happen to be dramatic.
A little bit.
I even tried hiding later, and you're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm pooping." You're like, "Come upstairs."
Oh my gosh. Yeah, don't start the door to talking about poop. All right. Well, I want to answer one more question. Danielle Knight asked about retreats. So we have a group called the Sisterhood, or the Sanctuary, actually, on Facebook. It's a group that I teach in. And if you're a member of that, you're invited to the Sisterhood Retreats, which we have 1 or 2 times a year. And so the only way to attend that is to be a member of the Sanctuary. So if anybody wants more info on that, let me know. If you're friends with Sarah, she can obviously tell you about it too. But thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to see you tonight. I can't wait to come and see your she shed in person.
I would love to have
I'm going to head that way again eventually.
Give you a Reiki session, ma'am.
Very cool.
That'll be wonderful.
I'd love it.
Thanks for having me. It was such a blessing and an honor. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Tell your family hello, and I'll talk to you soon.
I sure will. Thank you so much.
All right.
Take care.
Lots of love. Thanks, Sarah.
All right. Love you, honey. Bye bye.
Bye bye.